Welcome back to another edition of Vikings Film Room, brought to you by the Vikings Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pete Bercich. Now, the Minnesota Vikings continued their free agent ways by signing defensive back Chandon Sullivan. Now, most of us are familiar with Chandon, having played the last three seasons with the Green Bay Packers, but he entered the league as an undrafted free agent from the Philadelphia Eagles in 2018. Comes from Georgia State, where he wowed everybody at the Combine with a 40.5 vertical. Now, the best part of Chandon is he's coming off of his best season. 31 tackles, 2 for losses, 4 passes defensed, and most importantly, 3 interceptions. Let's see where Chandon Sullivan's going to fit in this Vikings secondary and what he can bring to the defense in 2022. Well, the first thing you're going to notice about Chandon Sullivan is he's a smart player. And in this first play, you're going to see him playing the 3-deep zone blitz scenario, meaning the Packers are going to show an overload on one side, switch to the other, and you're going to see Chandon Sullivan down here at the bottom. As the receiver comes over in motion, he has the very tough duty of covering the flat with 3 receivers in his face and really only a linebacker and a safety over the top. So they're outnumbered in this scenario, but he understands and he keeps his eye on the quarterback. Knows that this ball is going to go out to the flat, able to redirect, step up underneath, and make that play, make that catch, pick that ball off, and then score the touchdown. A tremendous play by Chandon Sullivan. Another great example of Chandon Sullivan and his awareness. In this case, the Washington football team is in the red zone, and they're playing a type of cover 8. You'll see him lined up covering the slot, and in this case, it's difficult because he not only has the flat, but he also has to be aware of the wheel route. His receiver goes to the flat. He understands that if this receiver runs that wheel, he's got to be the guy to come underneath, and he stays with him. He doesn't come off it at all, gets his head turned back, and makes a play on the football. So outstanding awareness and an outstanding play on the football there by Chandon Sullivan. All right, against the Kansas City Chiefs, we all know what they like to do, and that's get the ball in the hands of their best athletes. So in this case, you see Chandon Sullivan down in the bottom, sees the motion of the wide receiver, stays put, and that's important because you're going to see this play. It's a fake. Then they flip it to Tyreek Hill. Of all guys, Tyreek Hill. And what you'll see is Chandon Sullivan's disciplined enough to get upfield and maintain the sideline, meaning he's going to make Tyreek Hill cut back. Sullivan's not biting. He's staying outside. He's saying, man, you're not getting outside of me. The rest of the posse is coming. The pursuit is getting there. He makes him ultimately cut back into pursuit and makes the tackle. So great job defending the run on that play by Chandon Sullivan. Another great example of his awareness. This is a 4th and very long situation. And you can see Chandon Sullivan at the bottom of your screen. Once the ball is snapped, he gets in his back pedal and he sees that receiver get underneath the hook defender and then bend that thing inside. Once he sees what that receiver is doing, you'll see the closing speed. He has very, very good recovery speed, gets downhill, tips it up a couple times, comes down with it, gets a big interception. So tips and overthrows, man. That's how you get interceptions. But he makes a play on the ball, 4th and long, but still in the right place at the right time. Another example of Sullivan just being smart. This is a 3rd and extremely long situation for the Cleveland Browns. And you see Sullivan walked up, the receiver comes over, he shows up, then he drops himself back into his zone, gets to the top of his drop just at the sticks and pauses right there and makes a great break on the ball. Now this is a perfect example of the rush making the quarterback overthrow the football. Ball's thrown up in the air, tipped. He makes a play on the ball. He's not going after the wide receiver, but as soon as that ball is in the air, he becomes the wide receiver. That's key, and that's how he got those interceptions last year. Now, we've seen Sullivan play some zone. How about man-to-man? In this case, you'll see him lined up at the top of the screen, on the line of scrimmage, on the outside shoulder. But when he gets to about the 50, he breaks that thing off and bends it in. And you'll see a little bit of separation between Sullivan and the wide receiver. And most importantly, once that football gets there, the upfield arm is underneath the hip to make the tackle, and he comes in with that right arm to swat that ball away. This is an outstanding pass breakup by Chandon Sullivan. Now, another example of his man-to-man coverage skills, you'll see Chandon Sullivan at the top of the screen on the slot, and he and the corner are on the same level. And as a cornerback and as a nickel, you have to understand the route that you're worried about is the out and up with a pick by the outside receiver. And so as soon as the slot makes this out cut, Sullivan gives a little bit of ground because he knows the one route you don't want to give up is the wheel route or the switch route here. So he plays over the top. He doesn't come underneath. He plays over the top. And then, oh, by the way, when the ball's thrown, getting his head back and getting a hand on the football. So this is an outstanding example of man-to-man coverage by Chandon Sullivan. Now, another example of awareness, you'll see Chandon Sullivan at the top of your screen. You got the bunch formation, and usually that means something short, something deep, something inside. You'll see on the snap, he's going to get the receiver in front of him to run vertically. He jams him, slows him down for the corner. Now the tight end coming up the screen, he's running that dig route, which is going to occupy that linebacker. He makes a break, and again, right hand comes in, breaks up that pass. Great job of awareness in zone, again, by Chandon. Another great example of him squeezing in that zone coverage. You'll see Chandon Sullivan at the top of your screen. The Packers here are in some form of cover 8, which really means that he has to take number 2 to the flat, but also in certain situations squeeze that. So he's having to play this from the outside, and that's the most difficult way to do it. Once the ball is snapped, you're going to see the number 3 receiver, the tight end, runs that shallow in route. They're trying to open up that area of the field right above the helmet logo. He squeezes that, gets that hand in there again, breaks that ball up, almost intercepted, but just a great job of awareness in zone coverage. And finally, I think a great play that kind of sums Chandon Sullivan up as a player and just how good he is technically. You'll see him on the bottom of your screen. Now the Packers here are playing a type of lurk, meaning they're playing man-to-man, and one of the 2 deep safeties is going to rob the middle of the field. So Sullivan needs to stay outside of the slot receiver. And you'll see on the snap, the receiver is running up the field. And Sullivan gets a feeling or kind of guesses that he is going to continue to run a post or run up the field. So he gets a little bit high. And when this receiver makes the outcut, you'll see Sullivan have to recover. And he does it perfectly. He gets there in time, tips that thing away, and makes an absolute brilliant play. So yes, he has a lot of awareness, but he also has the skill set to recover when he does make a mistake. Overall, Chandon Sullivan's a very experienced nickel defensive back, and I think in this scheme, he can play man, he can play zone, he's good in zone blitz. We've seen all the things that he could do. He also plays the ball very, very well. I think he's a great add to this defense, and we're going to see a lot of highlights out of Chandon Sullivan in purple.